love as hypnosis versus respect as hypnosis. Um, Love in this context will be um, akin to chaos construction. So what that means is basically somebody is exaggerating for effect, to create a harmonious outcome. So chaos construction will look like somebody saying something that may or may not be true, but the way that they are saying it, the inflection in their tone of speaking voice is um, is indulging in speaking, so to speak. It may seem disingenuous to people who are more um, uh, wary of other people's usage of language, but to the layman and laywoman, um, chaos construction will seem uh, uh, akin to flattery. In other words, they won't pick up on the facts or the perception that they are being manipulated through um, emotional jolts, so to speak, because the chaos constructor or the lover is affecting their emotional state, or is aiming at their emotional state. Um, and so uh, uh, chaos construction as hypnosis is basically when somebody is being hyperbolic, not too obvious about it though, but being hyperbolic in a way to elicit a positive um, feeling of mutual comfort. So it's sort of about making the object person in the relationship feel as if they are free and open in a way that is beyond the pale, um, in the sense that the object person in the relationship will feel like they can say anything, but more than that, they can say it in any way that they want to say it. They can, um, they can do it. Um, well, they can say things in a way that is autonomous within the bubble of the union with the subject person who is the chaos constructor. But anyway, the point is they feel as if they are being appreciated, so being apprised of value um, in a you know in a limitless way, and the only way to be limitlessly apprised of value is for someone to pretend to value your emotions and pretend to value the way in which you're outputting as opposed to what it is you're actually outputting. Now, so that's love as hypnosis, basically. Um, you know, uh, think of hypnosis you know, in the context that I'm talking about hypnosis, think of it not as what you've seen in movies with somebody, you know, waving a chain watch across somebody's eyes, or having a pendulum of some sort in the background while they speak. You know, think of hypnosis in this context as what you would normally classify as emotional manipulation in any other setting, you know, that was outside of a therapist's office. So, love is hypnosis is it's playing on the way you are. It's the chaos constructor is trying to establish a sort of harmony that is concerned with the way you are with them, as opposed to what you are to them, right? So there's less of a clear point to, you know, love is hypnosis. It's harder to realize when you are being, you know, hypnotized in this way, because the subject person is not focusing on your output. They're focusing on the way you're outputting, and so the way is, you know, you'd have to detach yourself from conversation somewhat to actually grasp how somebody is interacting with the way you're interacting, as opposed to with what you're actually, you know, acting forth and reacting, you know, out with, right? Okay, so that's love as hypnosis. Now to talk about respect as hypnosis. Now respect in this context is basically using the obvious against somebody. It's using what you might term, you know, if you want, radical honesty or brutal honesty. But basically, it's looking at your aspects, both in conversation and, you know, when you're not talking, just looking at how you're silently reacting. It's looking at those aspects and respect of them. And so it's not allowing any exaggeration at all. Not even a natural exaggeration in conversation. It's just sort of keeping everything in your in a sort of mutual understanding of human impotence, in the sense that people have limitations, people have modus, and they can't readily break out of that with one another. So it's sort of like, it's sort of having you in a lock of familiarity with your inferiority. And so in that object position, being that object person in this relationship, you almost can't, you can't run away from you can't run away from potential altercations. You know, you can't run away from conflict. It's basically putting you in an emotional sauna and just sort of like having you sweat, essentially, right? But it's still a type of hypnosis, because um, because it's it is it's results driven, and the um, what the respecter, and we'll call the respecter an order constructor. We'll call respect in this context order construction. So that will uh, make it easier to compare to chaos construction, which is love in this context. So the order constructor is is not allowing natural conversation to uh, to continue like naturally, or to even in the first place, be natural. They are in the subject position, being the subject person in the relationship. They are putting restrictions on, with their tone of speaking voice, in the inflections they're in, with their mannerisms, how they are conducting themselves with you. They are aiming at limiting you, and then the conversation, how you interact, how you um, how you react in conversation with them, all the focus you put on your output. And then it's very it's very difficult to lie to somebody who is hypnotizing you with respect. It's very difficult to lie with a straight face. It's because it's everything is focused on your output. So they they're not giving you any stretch, any freedom with the way you're saying things. It's like everything is um, everything is flat, essentially. It's forced flat, though it's done subtly, so you don't know that you're being put into that situation. You don't know that you're being talked into that situation, but you are. And anyway, so that is um, respect as hypnosis, and that's different from love as hypnosis. Most people fall um, for respect as hypnosis in situations where there is a time limit involved. So some scenario where there's a deadline, um, and there's a lot of expectation put on the object individual. In those sorts of situations, it's very easy for respect is hypnosis. Yeah, so respect hypnosis, shall we say, to be initiated then, and uh, uh, to get a certain outcome, and it's sort of like it's a compelling. It's because that's how hypnosis works. Um, it's not like a superpower. It's just in most cases, it's just compelling someone to do something. Um, though in rare cases, some people are higher in susceptibility, and it can seem like a magic trick, but really it's just compelling somebody. Anyway, you know, um, respect as hypnosis. So order construction. It works well in those situations where people are sort of like the environment that the person is in is sort of pressing them to um, you know be real with themselves, to sort of focus on their output. And so then you just add some extra pressure and then they fully focus on their output, and you can get a desired result that way. With love hypnosis, so with chaos construction, um, you know, like I said before, if you're a more analytical person, if you're a person who is you know, who pays attention to language, to people's language, then it's less likely to affect you. You're less likely to be hypnotized by that, by lover's hypnosis. You're less likely to be chaos constructed. To have chaos construction affect you, right? Because it's focused on the way you're saying things. So, but anyway, like chaos construction, that is likely to have its most successful effect during moments of naivety. So where people are sort of not really paying attention to output. So sort of think about like at a hen's night, maybe, that you could easily use love hypnosis on people at a hen's night, or like at a bar or someplace where people aren't really focused on output as much as they're focused on the way, because they're already in a state of anxiety. So yeah, and so chaos construction works like that. It sort of it zones in. It focuses on anxiety. It focuses on the way somebody is, the way they're speaking, communicating, and it tries to get a desired result through toying with the person's way in a subtle way, but sort of like harnessing the object person's way of interacting through creating emotional jolts in the conversation that sort of egg somebody on to do something, to be something, to pretend, and etc., etc. So anyway, those are some forms of hypnosis as it pertains to compelling somebody. So it's not, this is not about like any woo-woo hypnosis like from the movies, but it's like just ways in which you can get a desired result from other people. But it's, you got to pay attention to a number of factors, and the first factor that comes to mind, and really the key factor, is the social atmosphere. So like I said, order construction has its best effect, it has its best results in sort of deadline situations that sort of repress somebody's spirit, so to speak, that sort of lock someone into observing the obvious and observing their output. And chaos construction, that works by taking advantage of a social atmosphere that is that is making people anxious enough to where they're not focusing on output, but they're focusing on the way that output is delivered. So they're focusing on the social delivery. Anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about. Have a good day. Peace, meow.